Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Mark for Millions podcast. I am super excited for today's episode with the one and only MJ Allen. Y'all probably have heard me talk so much about her all the time, y'all. So I'm so excited for this conversation, for you guys to really dive into this conversation. Today's topic is called You Were Created to Build. So thank you so much, MJ.
Thank you
for being a guest on the podcast.
I'm so ready. I am so ready. Okay. Thank you for inviting me. This is, to me, I was waiting. I was just being patient for my turn. So I'm excited. Okay.
So there's so many things I can say about MJ, y'all. And I'm going to dive into it once we kind of dive into this conversation. But MJ, introduce yourself for everyone to understand a little bit about who you are, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So my name is MJ Allen. I am the founder of CultureDex. And with CultureDex, what I do is I help content creators transform from content creators to CEOs by building new ventures. I'm also a community builder with an organization called Goody Nation. I'm a mom, a wife, a kingdom entrepreneur, a kingdom executive woman.
Yes.
Okay, I might add that. And so I'm MJ.
Yes. Awesome, y'all. So let me tell y'all a little bit more about MJ, because let me tell you, she is just a special part of my heart, y'all. Like, she has been behind the scenes of so much that I have built in partnership with the Lord. She was actually my business developer for the tax experience, y'all. Like, I couldn't have done it without her. And to just see it like 5 years later.
I know.
Right?
As I was flying in, I'm like, man, we literally was 5 years, almost 6 years that we've been just working on doing things. But with the tax experience, to think back of you building that during COVID, and
yes, like we was building right now, like 5 years ago,
exactly.
Almost 6.
Yeah.
So let me tell y'all need an MJ, okay, in y'all life. But she has definitely been a big part of Mark for Millions as well, right? With I'm so grateful that when God puts specific people in your life as destiny helpers to really help you build. Like, I hope that I had talked about that on the first episode, that I hope that God can places those who are listening, those who are wanting people that's going to really partner with them, that they will find those people in this season. But let's dive in because when you think Mark for Millions, right, is what God has gave me that in 2023. And that was like the start of my journey with, being saved and things of that nature. And I mean, we talk about this all the time of like just building and understanding who God has called us to be. And when I think about Mark for Millions, there could not have not been an episode called You Were Created to Build, because we talk about the building and all the aspects of building. So tell me, when you hear You Were Created to Build, what immediately comes to your mind?
So when I hear that, when I hear I was created to build, immediately I'm thinking about the stewardship that God has given me. I'm thinking about the bigger picture of the blueprint of what God has already designed, and just my little small piece that is added to the blueprint that He's called me to build. Yeah. So when I hear that, I'm thinking about, okay, God, you've obviously you've called me to do this thing, and it's just my little piece of the bigger picture that He wants to do here on the earth. So.
And tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurship journey. Like, have you always known that you were going to be a builder? Like, where did it start where you just knew, like, no, I'm called to build something that's going to be bigger for me, and most of all, something that God has told me to build? Because we know most people have a hard time even getting that, shifting their mindset to understand that they are builders. So where did it all begin for you?
So for me, it actually started in high school. It started from a pig and economics project that I had to create. came up with the idea of doing a t-shirt company. So that was like the little seed that was planted. And then over the years, I mean, I have started and stopped so many different businesses. I mean, I had an event planning company that I started with a group of friends. I was freelancing makeup, so I've always had that desire to build, to be an entrepreneur. But it got serious for me back in February of 2019. And what happened there was, at the time, like I said, I had tried several different businesses, but I knew I was called to build something bigger but I couldn't do it while working a 9 to 5. I just could not do that. And so in February of 2019, jumped ship, left corporate, didn't have a plan, didn't have a backup plan. I had a ton of ideas, but didn't have a backup plan. But I would say that's where it got serious for me, where it's like, okay, now you have to figure things out. You have to really start to take out them tools and get to building. So.
So started from a pig in economics. Shout out to pig in economics class because we was really learning. And it's so crazy because if you really look back at different aspects of your life, it was like God was already strategically training us up.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm just thinking about it because I was like senior class president. Like I was treasurer at one point. Like I already had influence in high school, and now when I look back, I'm like, oh God, you was already, I had to manage, the senior class, I don't even know what it was called, but a board, I would say. And, just marketing myself, winning senior class president and, prom princess. And it was like God was already strategically doing things from when we were little. So I would even want some of you guys to begin to look at, take a glimpse back at the timeline of where God was strategically already training you up. So what was, so now you're in business. Now tell us a little bit about that process, that journey.
Yeah. So in terms of the journey, it has consisted of a ton of ebbs and flows. So when I left corporate, I ended up taking an opportunity to work for a startup accelerator that was based in Atlanta, Georgia. And at the time I was still here in Rochester. And that's where I was introduced to business development. I had no clue about this particular role, but I saw what it consisted of. And I'm like, hey, when it comes to the relationship aspect of business development, that was something that I just love doing. I love building relationships. And so I started working with this accelerator. And what we did was we worked with early stage tech companies to help them build out their minimal viable product. And my task was to get early adopters onto their tech platforms, or at least get a letter of intent from an ideal client to let them know, like, once it's built out, them signing this letter of intent would be that they would eventually use the platform. Okay. And so that's what I was tasked to do. So I'm cold emailing, cold calling, all of the things that a lot of business owners don't want to do. I was doing. So I worked at an accelerator. I did that for about almost 2 years. And then I worked with other early stage tech companies as well. One in particular, Extremely, it was a live shopping platform. They had a technology before TikTok. And so when I transitioned from Rochester to Georgia, I transitioned with working with this company. And so again, I'm their business development director, helping them get people onto the platform using this live shopping technology. And my thought was to immediately start doing things in the beauty space, more specifically with Black-owned beauty companies. And that's what I did. I went to beauty shows, trade shows. I mean, I hit the boots on the ground seriously when I got to Georgia. I did not play. So I did that. Fast forward to, what I'm doing right now. For about the last year and a half, I was working with content creators and just managing talent as a talent, doing influencing talent or whatever. So I did that for quite some time. But the pivot for me now is I believe that there is a need for content creators to take content serious. And so with what I'm doing with helping them transform and from a CEO, from a content creator to a CEO by building their own ventures, I'm basically giving them the hands, the systems, and the people that they need to actually be able to focus on content while we're building their businesses in the background. And so that's where I am right now. Yes, I like I said, I do community building. I'm just a relationship-oriented person. I'm helping to close the relationship gap when it comes to innovation. That's what I'm just determined to do. So
that's so good. So good. So now that you have, been in different roles and really helping business owners really build and doing the tasks that most, like you said, don't want to do, because I think that a lot of business owners, they don't really understand the full complexity of what is needed to actually build, to sustain. So it's so amazing that you are specifically helping people in that arena. So let's kind of talk about like, as we talking about like you were created to build, how, like, what does it mean when God says we are builders, right? Because we hit on earlier that you already knew from such a young age that you were supposed to build, but how, like, did God send you like a confirmation, or like, where did you really like have that encounter with the Father and like, okay, I am called to not only be a builder, but also help other builders build?
Yeah. So with my journey, I would say it wasn't up until more recently, within the last maybe 6 or 7 years, where it became clear for me that I was literally designed to build. And not just as a kingdom entrepreneur, but as humans, we're all called to build. That's how He created us. He created us in His own image, right? So He's the creator. He created us in His image. Therefore, we're called to be builders, right? So if you look at Genesis 1, how we're designed and we're created in His image, that should let you know right then and there that, we're supposed to be building. Not only that, when it comes to just having dominion, He gives you the blueprint of how to do it strategically in Genesis 1:26. He tells you how you're supposed to be being fruitful, to multiply, to subdue, to have dominion. He literally tells you what to do. And so for me, once I got a clear understanding of, okay, I'm designed this way. It wasn't happenstance that I had a desire at an early age to be entrepreneurial. I just had to walk through the journey of knowing, it was a lot of things that I had to learn, but I've always had that bug. In terms of me helping others, I believe that that's just that's how I have been designed. That's I come in as a servant leader. So me helping others, why not? Why wouldn't I be of a servant to help others to build out what it is that they want to bring to fruition? It takes nothing away from me to work behind the scenes to see somebody else win. It just,
And I think that some people, that's one thing I loved about you, is like you always came in with that heart of serving, and, knowing that sometimes it's okay if I'm not, front and center, but I'm the brains behind this thing, right? In the background. So let's dive a little bit deeper into because a lot of people don't think that God has called them to build, right? You have people who think that, how am I supposed to build? Or they let fear creep in, or they have been trained a certain way, society, where they come from, all these different factors that make them feel like that's everything but that.
Yeah, so I think, I know that when it comes to fear, the first thing that fear does is it attacks your identity. That's the first thing it attacks. But, knowing that God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind, the first thing that the enemy is going to do is attack your identity. So it's like, okay, am I called to build? This is where imposter syndrome comes into play, right? I can't do X, Y, and Z because I didn't go to business school, or I don't have an MBA. I can't do X, Y, and Z because I didn't train at the highest of highest colleges or universities or different programs. And for me, it didn't matter to me because I know that God calls us. He qualifies us.
Yes.
It's not up to man. So I don't get discouraged by what I don't have. What keeps me going is that as long as I have breath, as long as I have that relationship with God, as long as I know that I have to partner with Him, that's all I need. Everything else is extra.
That's so good that you hit on identity, because that was literally going to be my next question, is like, even beyond entrepreneurship, when you don't understand your identity, it literally interrupts so much in your life. Yeah. And I love how because it's like, how are we not called to be creators when we come from a creator?
There we go.
So when I used to have this strong notion that that God, I really used to say like this all the time, like, everybody's supposed to be an entrepreneur. Like, everybody's supposed to be an entrepreneur, because when you say we come from a curator, we have no choice but to curate. Like, it's already in our DNA.
That's right.
It's already, like you said, it's already how we have been designed. Mm-hmm. So I think that people really need to understand who they are. And when you understand your identity, when you understand sonship, when you understand that, like, it just changes everything. Mm-hmm. And we go from understanding that we are daughters and sons. I had talked about in the last episode, we go from understanding that we are daughters and sons to understanding that we are citizens, to understanding that we are mothers/builders, right? And understanding the functions and understanding like the results of that. When we go from just as a daughter, you go to just receiving and believing. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a part of just dominion. Like, I'm going to receive what the Lord has and believe that He's going to do it. That's right. And then when you go into your as a citizen, right, that's when you really understand that you are called to rule and reign. Right. And now you begin to use your mouth to curate your world, right? And then when you go into as a mother and a builder, now you really go into legacy and you begin to expand. Yes. So I think that is so important for anyone, especially as business owners, to really dive into this, because if you don't, the world will try to tell you everything. They would try to tell you everything except that you are a child of the Most High God, right? They would try to put all these labels and things on you, and it's just like, no, go to your curator to understand who you are. That's right. So what happens when builders ignore the call on their lives to build?
So what happens is stagnation happens. Frustration happens. You're not happy. You're frustrated where you are. When you ignore that calling, to me, I mean, it's disobedience. Some people may not look at it that way. But it's disobedience.
Yeah, because it's like God has commanded us to do this. And out in the book, we were reading Faith in the Marketplace, and he really was touching on that. And I see it, we can see it in different cities. We can see it in different states. We can see it in different places. Like when you have a city or a town, there's not enough curators. What happens to the community suffers, right? It's like, it's so layered. Like you need people to be able to curate. You need builders, right? Everybody can't just be dependent on a system.
That's right.
Like you need and to be honest, right, we already understand, like, people could say what they want about the 1% of the world, right? But at the end of the day, business owners and investors, even from a tax code, I had to shift my perspective. And when I understand this is why I try to talk and educate people. The tax code was even built with investors and business owners in mind, right? Because it says like, hey, you're going to go out here. You guys are the ones that's really curating and making sure that money continues to flow in this economy.
That's right.
So why aren't we not equipping and encouraging more of us to step in to position, step into the calling that God has called us, because we all have the gifts, skills, and talents, right? God has given us so much. Even our jobs is training ground. Like it's showing you how to, manage. It's showing you sales. It's showing you so much.
If you pay attention, it definitely is. So when you mentioned about people not believing themselves as the builders, as the entrepreneurs, we already see what it is for those that are not of the kingdom, those that are unbelievers or have a different agenda. We already see what it is in terms of the systems. We already see what is operating, right? So in order for us to actually make a change, we have to believe, we have to read our word, we have to partner with God, we have to take those ideas, right? Because, and this is an interesting thing. There are some people that are just so bound to religion that they have already checked out on this side, just waiting to get to heaven. They've already checked out on this side. They're just letting days, weeks, months, years go by, waiting to get on the other side, not knowing that when you get on the other side, okay, because if you read that Bible, you'll know that we're going to come back here. Heaven is just a holding place. What God's original intent was for the earth, for us to be kingdom believers, be kingdom citizens, for He wants heaven to be here on earth. Yes. It's going to get done. It is going to happen. So my thing is, I'm not about to fight against it.
Come on.
I'm going to use my talent, my time, and my treasures to build with Him. My little territory, my little, whatever He has given me, I know it's huge. I'm saying little because I know it consists of other builders. But I know that I'm focused on building, because why not be ahead of the game, knowing that He's called us to do it? We might as well get in line.
Yes.
And stop fighting against it and making excuses.
Yes, the excuses. It's so many of them.
And they depend on these man-made systems. These man-made systems are not going to change.
They're not. They're really not. And why do you think? It's like we really dive deep into this type of stuff. Like we understand systems. Why do you think that these systems, people think that the systems are supposed to save them?
Well, you know what?
Or there's also this idea, right? And I'll be like honest. I remember when I had first got saved, I'm like, I was already a builder. Like God had already, and thank God, He's so intentional and so strategic, because I know you can relate to this. And I know a lot of people who may be listening can relate to this, where God just took you in your own little journey with Him. You wasn't exposed to these things that could try to get into your mind and let the lies of the enemy kind of creep in. So it's like God had already had like a clean slate to just continue to build, continue to pour, continue to give instructions, continue to give wisdom. So that way, when you do enter into some of these spaces, you already understand.
Yeah.
So where do you think, like, what are we already kind of talked about it, like imposter syndrome, fear. so people, because we want to make sure that people are equipped, like we understand, but we want to make sure that people are equipped to understand, like, these are the lies that are out here. These are the things that just ain't going to change. It is what it is. I was literally just talking about that in the last podcast episode too, where, people were God never wanted us. Why are we so dependent on a government that, yes, a government has a duty to its citizens, right? We get that. But why are we not tapped into the kingdom economy and understanding how it is supposed to work? And like, why, like, can you break that down for me?
Yeah.
Like, why is it like that? Because it's like so frustrating that so many are being held back because of these lies. And, we here to expose and uproot the lies of the enemy to make sure that people understand, like, no, this is what you really are created to do.
Yeah. I think, so we can even go back to, let's move forward from Genesis, right? So if we take a look at, and we'll come to the New Testament, when one of my favorite scriptures is Matthew 6:33. You already know.
Yes.
You already know. Matthew 6:33 is my favorite scripture because it's the things that get people hung up on. They don't understand that when you are going through the systems that have been created, right? And some of y'all gonna hate me for this, but it's okay because you can't beat me. Okay. So if you are looking at from the industrial time, if you're looking at the school systems and the way that they are designed, right? You are looking at college and universities and things of that nature. They are literally designed to get you, you're literally coming out of school with debt. And because you're coming out of school with debt, now you're forced to take a job. And then with you taking the job, now you are getting the things. What are the things? You're getting the cars and the clothes and the homes. But what does Matthew 6:33 says, right? Seek first the kingdom.
Yeah.
Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things, all the things will be added onto you.
Yes.
So first things first is seeking the kingdom.
Yes.
What is righteousness? Some people get righteousness confused. For many years, righteousness, they think of righteousness as you can't wear jewelry and you got to wear your skirts all down to your ankle. No, righteousness is right alignment with God.
Yes.
It's right alignment with him, right? So you're seeking first his kingdom and being in right alignment with him. Nobody's saying to be perfect. We already know we're not perfect. But when you know better, you do better, you act better, you be better. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's like these systems get you so hooked on focusing on the things, on the entrapments.
Yeah. That's good.
I'm telling you, I'm some of the things that I've seen lately, and social media doesn't help.
Doesn't.
You're looking at people and the new this and the new that, and you feel like this is what you need to partake in, when in all actuality, the things will be added. Yes. You focus on him, you get right with him, those things will be added.
It will be added. And I feel like in this season, entrepreneurs, we're seeing revival.
Yes.
We seeing God's spirit being poured out. We seeing more people coming to church, more people really, diving into their Bible and building a relationship, because it's necessary. It's vital. Like I can't do life without God. And in entrepreneurship, that's what, and when you say social media, a lot of people, the world has been kind of like taken over in the business realm, right? So now, even me, when I think about it, like, when I started in business, you see all these, business coaches. I had the best I had MJ. Okay. But like, you see these, these business coaches and they talking about all the millions and they not building with the father, right?
No.
They teaching you hustle culture.
That's right.
They're teaching, I the glitz and the glam. I gotta flex. I gotta do this, right?
That's right.
And it's so easy to get caught up in it if you're not anchored, right? And I talk about this like even in the first episode of why even God had pushed me into Mark for Millions, right? Because it's such a fine line that you don't even know that you just end up there. It's not like something that you seek out. Well, some people do, but like, it's just not something that, you just get there and you don't even understand that you have done it until it's too late. And then God got to shake some stuff up in your life.
Okay. And are you ready for the shaking? Because it's going to happen. That shaking will happen. Shaking will happen. In terms of like how you said that a lot of people are building from the world. Like, we're supposed to learn from what they're doing, but we're not supposed to straight up and down like copycat what they're doing, right? We're not supposed to take that hustle culture. God calls us to, I don't know about anybody else, but that's my business partner. My business partner is God. I ask him every day, partner with me, unleash the genius that you've created inside of me.
Come on.
Like I'm asking for the things that I know that I need. I even ask him to rewire my brain. Okay. I need a rewiring because I know that there are, especially coming from a impoverished city and sitting in it for so long, you would think that it didn't have any negative effects on you, but quite honestly, that's not the truth. And so, yeah, of course, I've had to ask him to rewire my brain. Of course, there are things that I had to unlearn with transitioning to a bigger city and being in a different space. So, like, again, not perfect, but as long as I'm doing business with God, I'm doing business with him.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Because you don't want to build anything outside of God.
No.
Because you got to stay outside of God to continue to sustain and maintain it.
Absolutely.
And that only leads to destruction.
That's
and
right.
I think a lot of people are seeing the things that they have been going to for whatever, because the devil give out blessings too.
Oh yeah.
And I think that people have to understand that you can't get focused on the things. That's one of the things that I talk about too, is like when I first started a business, I never prayed for money. I prayed to help people. And I think that people, they get it wrong. They go into business. I want to make all this money. Are you even the person to be entrusted with managing large amounts of resources?
Come on.
Because you will be tested in that area of money. Because God already knows that in the Bible, it talks about money, trust, stewardship, like 2,000 plus times. Probably even more than that. It was something that Jesus really took his time to really talk, because he already knew people were going to struggle with it. That's the only thing in the Bible that's compared to a God.
That's right.
Because lowercase g, because he already knew that it was just going to be something that people were going to struggle with.
That's right. But not only that, praying for money, listen, and that's why people don't get it, because you're not supposed to pray for money. You're supposed to pray for the ideas, the God ideas.
Yes.
And he's going to help fund that. He'll help fund it as long as it's given to you by him.
Yes.
And you're making actions towards it.
Yes.
He's not going to just say, okay, you had this idea and all of it is going to be given to you all at once. That's not how he works. Especially if you're called to do and build something big.
Yeah.
No, he wants to see you right where you are with what you have, make a step towards it, and then he'll do his part. And I think that's where people get it confused. You're sitting up here praying for millions of dollars, baby. That's not how it happens.
Yes.
It's the ideas. And then you have to get to work.
Right. Exactly. And that's why I make it clear with Mark for Millions. Mark for Millions is just the thing to reel people in, right? But it's just the process, the character development, right? The positioning, understanding your identity, like all of the things to get you to the person that can be trusted. Because that's what it really can. God trust you? I remember when somebody literally said, like, oh, and then how do I make $1 million? Like, why is that even your question to me? You should be asking me about what are the things that you had to go through? What, like that's not the first question that you should be asking me. Right. And God, he really cares. Like, are you going to be trustworthy with it? Because all of this is his. That's right. Every single thing.
Even the paycheck that you get, if you're still employed, that paycheck that you are getting is his. The whole thing. The home you may have purchased, it's his. The car that you have, it's his. But see, the thing is, the other things that you desire, if he can't get it through you, it's not coming to you.
No.
He has to be, you have to be a clean pipe where he can get that thing. If he's telling you to bless somebody else, it has to be able to come through you.
Yes.
But we don't own any of this.
Yes.
Listen, this is where people, they be messed up.
They mess it up.
It's the whole, especially with the Western culture, when it comes to individualism.
Yeah.
That's what's being promoted. I, me.
No.
No.
No, because it's not about us.
No.
It's about the people that God has assigned to us, assigned to our voices, assigned to every single thing that we put our hands through. Because like we are his hands and his feet, right?
That's right.
So it is like once people really understand it's not about us and that we have an assignment, like your business, the money, it has an assignment. Like you said, people won't never get to millions because, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars at that, because they have, their heart is not in the right place.
That's right. Oh my God.
And if y'all want to, y'all definitely go check out the second podcast episode. It's called the condition of, what is the condition of your heart? And we really dive deep into the heart, because that is God cares about your heart.
That's right.
Because you know, money is not evil, but people are. Your heart, we already know our heart can be wicked, right? So God wants to make sure that your heart is in the right place, because whatever you believe, when money touches your hands,
that's it. I mean, that money is just a tool.
A tool.
It's not negative, or it's a tool.
Just a tool.
It's a tool, you know. And so, yeah.
So let's talk about, because we know in the Bible, and then that's why people should also know, like, there was so many entrepreneurs in the Bible. So many. Jesus was a carpenter. Like, so talk about, who is your favorite builder in the Bible?
Okay. So my favorite builder in the Bible is Nehemiah. And I love Nehemiah because Nehemiah displays leadership. He displays strategy. Nehemiah displays speed. Nehemiah shows us an example of how to come together to build. So yeah, for me, I always go back to read Nehemiah, but I have to make an honorable mention, because there is someone in the Bible that not a lot of people know about. You will hear about her in 1 Chronicles 7. Her name is Shira. And Shira only literally has 3 sentences in the Bible. But what she built was so impactful. So Shira is introduced to us after her, I want to say it's her grandfather. He loses all 8 of his sons. And he is just mourning from that loss. And so Shira comes into play because Shira builds Upper and Lower Bethlehem, and also is Uzra Shira. And so I have to mention her because this is a woman that is obviously during a patriotic, I would say, system, you know, where it's just men that are basically the developers. But here you go, you have an example of a woman who built 3 cities. She didn't get a book. She didn't even get a whole chapter. But what she built is still standing today.
My God.
Like, so for me to see, like, this is a woman who is briefly mentioned, but has such a huge impact, I think it speaks volumes. And it also shows that both men and women, we're all called to add to the kingdom as believers and as builders. So it's, yeah. So but definitely Nehemiah.
That's so good. See, that's why you got to read your Bible, because it be some little hidden gems in there.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about, what does it look like to build with God versus for God?
Yeah. So building for God, that looks like you worrying about profits. How am I going to get paid? That's building for God. When you're building with God, you're worried about, okay, God, what's the legacy that's going to be built? What does succession look like in my business?
That's so good.
Like, you're not worried about, because if he says that the blessing is for you and your children's children, so you should be thinking a lot bigger than your lifetime.
Yeah, those is generations.
Okay, so it looks like, okay, what does succession look like? How is this going to be a 50-year company, a 100-year company, a 250-year company? That's what I believe the difference is between building for God and then with God.
That's so good. That's so good, because so many people get it wrong. God doesn't need us to do, he already did everything. He doesn't need us, but he will use us to further the impact, to further the gospel, right? To further, to make sure that his plan gets accomplished on this earth. So I really love that. So let's dive into like some practical application, right? Okay. Because I think that, someone, I'm called, the people that's assigned to my voice, they already some powerhouse trailblazers and visionaries, or those who know, like, you know what, like, I know there's something on the inside of me. Like, I know I'm called to build. So how have you balanced just being obedient, being wise, and strategic?
So I've balanced being obedient, wise, and strategic, number one, by just making sure that I have that relationship with God, and I'm not, I'm not wavering. I'm not doing things with, on my own.
Yeah.
That I'm always calling, not just calling to him, but I'm also waiting. I'm waiting for, the next move. I'm waiting for him to let me know. And in terms of just making sure that, it's just not all about me, that I'm stewarding what he has already given me, well as well. But I think in terms of just making sure that I'm in right alignment with him, like that matters so much to me. And people tell me, more recently, it's like, MJ, I'm going to talk about him. So be prepared to hear about him. I talk about him because that is, that's not just my father. Like, he's close. I say he's right here on my hip all the time. I always say that. Yeah. Like, he's right here. I know he hears me,
So let's kind of like dive in, because obviously you work with a lot of business owners behind the scenes building. So what are some blueprints that you feel like every business owner should know about?
So when it comes to blueprints, I would say, number one, you want to make sure that you have vision. And Habakkuk 2:2, you want to make sure you write the vision, make it plain so whoever reads it can run with it. So you definitely want to have vision as a part of the blueprint. You definitely want to have some strategy. That's why you should be reading Nehemiah. Because when Nehemiah went to the king, as Nehemiah as his cupbearer, and had the desire to go back and ask the king for the letters, the signatures to get past whomever was going to be the person the persons to try to stop him, you got to have that strategy in play. That strategy is going to be super important. I also believe that we need frameworks.
Yes.
We can't be out here just willy-nilly in things.
Yes.
And just trying to copycat people. Like, you really need to sit down and say, what is the framework that I'm going to follow for this particular thing? We also need systems in place.
Yes.
We need systems in place.
Heavy on the systems.
Okay, because I think some people, you miss money when you don't have systems. Absolutely. You miss money when you're trying to cut corners.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that you have those systems in place. I think also, and I'm big on this, you can't do it by yourself. in the spiritual realm, right? So you have, God as your business partner, but you need partners in the natural realm. You need partners to be able to collaborate. You need partners to be able to do business as well, right? Again, co-collaborating, going out there and getting those things as well. So yeah, I think those are some of the key blueprints that you would need.
One of the things that you talk a lot about too with me is like you're big on like relationship building and partnership.
Yes.
So kind of dive into the importance of that.
Relationships is huge. Again, I always go back to just my role in business development. That is one of the key areas when it comes to business development is relationship building. It is so important because what people don't understand is there is a such thing as decision makers. So you building the relationships with the right people and getting to the decision maker is going to be the key to unlock the things that you require in your business. Also, I don't think people understand that people are gates. There are gates that can stop your flow in your business. And so you want to make sure that you're building the right relationships, especially when you're doing partnerships, making sure they're also in alignment with kingdom, because that could, we've seen a lot of nasty partnerships and they don't end well.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you're building the right relationships, but relationship building, because at the end of the day, you're going to do business with humans. I get AI is here, but you're going to do business with humans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so taking the time out to build the relationship so that when you need someone to make a deal flow happen, you're not waiting until the last minute. Yeah. So you want to do that early on.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. Has there ever been, and we're going to wrap up with this, like a moment that really changed everything for you?
Yes. The moment that really changed everything for me was losing my son in 2023. My son, Divine Yasir, he was a Black scholar. He was just 18 years old. He had just graduated from high school, and I ended up losing him to gun violence right here in Rochester, August 9th of 2023. And that moment changed everything for me. And I say that because prior to that, my kids, my son and my daughter, they always would hear me talk about entrepreneurship, right? So when I first relocated to Georgia, the kids came up with an idea to start a t-shirt company, and Mom was the funder for that. Okay, go get the t-shirts done. Do what you want to do, right? So I was always the one to show them and be that example for them when it came to entrepreneurship. But losing my son changed everything. It really did, because that was a pain that I had never felt. I had never expected that. And in a sense, I feel like it slowed me down because I was ready. I was really ready to just go all in on some things. But in that season, I would say maybe a year and a half, I had to go slow. I was forced to go slow. I was forced to sit with what happened. During that time, I lost a lot. I lost friends that I had for 15, 16 years. Just stopped calling, stopped checking in. And going through it in the beginning, I was okay with it because I knew that I did not want to trauma bond with anyone. I just wasn't, I wasn't going to do that. I was very clear on that. And I didn't. And so, but yeah, losing him, it shook me because he was, on his journey. He wanted to be entrepreneurial. He would always be like, "Yep, mom," because when I'm gonna take over the businesses, that was him. But that changed everything.
One thing that you said recently on social media that really like hit home, and I think it's a powerful statement that I want entrepreneurs to really take hold of, because there's going to be moments in life that we don't see them coming, that will feel like your whole world is coming down, like you're crushed. There's going to be just so many different moments. And one of the things that you said was like, you still didn't like give up on God or turn from God. You can correct my statement, but you know what I'm talking about. And I'm like,
the second person. You are the second person within the last week that said that post. I had posted something like, the unthinkable happened, but I still didn't. I didn't turn away from God. I didn't give up on God. If anything, it drew me closer to Him. You literally are the second person that said that. One person, she was like, I just felt so arrested because, you do experience those things. Some people do experience those things and they turn away from God and they hate Him and they don't desire to do relationship with Him. And for me, that wasn't an option. It wasn't an option because, yes, that moment of losing my son was huge for me. But the years leading up to that was so traumatic. They were so, I dealt with a lot of, pain before that. And so going through that pain, it literally helped me to build my relationship, and still going through it, still trust Him. Even now, I'm like, no, I'm still trust Him. I will say over the last 3 days, I've had to do a exercise with the company that I'm working with, Goody Nation, and we did something just yesterday. It was a giving circle, right? So you just basically talk about what you're thankful for and all of that. And I literally had to say again what I'm thankful for. And I've like the last 3 days just really saying my son's name, and painful, absolutely. But I know for me, I'm still here for a reason. There's a purpose that God has on my life. I'm just thankful to be here in my right mind.
Yes.
To be able to have this conversation with you, to be able to do relationship with you as well. Knowing that, yes, I did go through something that was very traumatic as a mom, as a wife, you know what I mean? Losing my only son, but still knowing that, okay, I still have work to do because of my father. He has me here.
Yeah. And I think that's just like, it's so powerful. And I think that as entrepreneurs, builders, just anybody, like, you're not alone. And to like, y'all, she's still building, still showing up with a smile on her face, and I think that just speaks volumes, because I think that in the entrepreneurship journey, the enemy doesn't want us to build, doesn't want us to be an example of what the Father wants for us in our lives. So he's going to try to throw whatever at us.
That's right.
To throw you off. But it just shows to like your resilience and your grit, and, it's just a pure example of the love of the Father, that you're in your right mind, like you said, and you still moving forward. So I think that was important to kind of talk about, because we can talk about all the things, the great, the mountaintops, but there's some valleys that we will go through, and it's all a part of our process. Like what the enemy meant for good, God will always make sure it turns out for His good. So I think that was just powerful to talk about, and thank you for being transparent and vulnerable. So as we wrap up, what's next for MJ?
Yeah, so what's next for me is I really am focused on building out culture decks. That's top for me. The other thing is I'm working on a sauce. My uncle gave me a recipe that he sat on for 30 years. So I'm finally bringing it to market. It's called Sauce It. So I'll be going into that consumer packaged good area and getting, some experience there. But I have so many ideas. I don't want to bore you guys with my ideas. I have so many, but obviously to continue to build, to continue to support you with Mark for Millions as well. And the things that you're working on too. So.
Yes. And any last thoughts that you want anyone who's listening to this episode to take away from You Are Curated to Build?
Yeah, I would say if you are struggling with that identity of being a builder, take the time and read Genesis 1:26. And prior to reading that, just ask God to reveal to you and to make it clear as day. Remove any confusion, from the scripture. But I would say really take the time to read Genesis 1:26. And once you do that, you sit with it for a little bit, get to work.
Yes.
Get to work. We need you. Get to work.
Get to work. Well, that is it. That is a wrap for episode. This was such a great conversation, MJ. Thank you so much, y'all. This is really my friend, y'all.
This is normal.
This is for normal conversation for me and MJ. We always talk like this, but I really want you guys I really wanted to have this conversation for you guys to be inside of our normal conversations that we always have. You guys definitely should connect with MJ. I'm gonna drop down how you can connect with her, reach out to her. She just an amazing resource, and shout out to her podcast too. Yeah. You guys go download it. All the business stuff with MJ. It is on Spotify and Apple. Correct. So definitely go check out her podcast as well. And definitely connect with her because she is a wealth of knowledge and really doing some amazing things to help entrepreneurs, builders really do some amazing things on this earth. But thank you guys so much for tuning into the episode. Like always, make sure that you like and subscribe. Let us know how you felt about this episode. Drop your comments. I would love to learn more about what your biggest takeaways from the episode. And MJ is in the Mark for Millions community, y'all.
I am.
So if you love this conversation and the wealth of knowledge that she brings to the table, you need to get into the membership. Mm-hmm. It is $99 a month, y'all. It is a no-brainer for the level of access, the knowledge, and the experts that is inside this community. We have these types of conversations and we really get to work. We really learn and develop and really making sure that we are doing what God has called us to do because we are marked for millions. So make sure you definitely join the community. Make sure you stay tuned. We have some more amazing episodes and we got some amazing things happening in 2026, y'all. It is about to be big because only God could do what he's getting ready to do in 2026. So you want to make sure that you are tapped in and tuned in for all things Mark for Millions. See y'all next time.
Video, you know where to go. Send a vibes, we got that dope.